Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are in the world. We're back live. This webinar today is a little bit of a mixture. This bit's live. I'm talking now live to you. And then we've got a recorded session for about 47 minutes from a very talented MVP, Christoph Schneider. And Christoph will be joining us live as well for the Q&A to talk about FB4D, which is his project. And he will be answering questions live as well. There's lots and lots of people here saying hello from all over the world. In the future webinars, we're not going to keep saying hi to everybody, but I will put your comments on the bottom of the screen here. So if you say hi and you want to see your name, your face up on the TV or YouTube or whatever you're watching us from, go ahead, and I'll make sure that you do get your moment of glory. And Francis, hello Francis. It says it's a tad warmer. You know what? It's been freezing. We've had snow in Dallas, which is pretty crazy. And I just need to call someone out as well here, Boyan Maitov, who will be in one of the webinars later. Boyan, you're in LA, as we all know. I'm sure if you've been watching the news, in LA, there are some really momentous fires. The Palisades fire, amongst others, is causing some really bad problems. Lots of people have lost their houses, their businesses. People have seen some of the movie stars going, "Oh, I've lost my house," and people going, "Well, they're millionaires." They're the few that are millionaires. Majority of people living in Palisades and LA in general, that particular region, are not millionaires. And so, I am American, even though I've got a British accent, I'm a British American, but as one American to other Americans, I hope you're safe. The same with all the other people around the world suffering all sorts of consequences and things like that as well. I hope you're doing well. And as you may have noticed, we've got all sorts of countries coming in saying hi. My studio has had a bit of a makeover, my little office here. So I've got all sorts of things going on. A Pioneer in Simplicity behind my left ear there. Great book. That is written by Marco G from GDK. My Delphi helmet is now in a nice, beautiful place, and all my other knickknacks and things like that. Throughout the webinars, I'm going to put a few little Easter eggs, shall we say, a few little bits and bobs, so that people go, "What's that in the background?" You never know, some old Delphi boxes and things like that as well. So a lot going on. And what else have we got? The other person, your dog's thoughts. Yes. People saying about Frank Borland. If you're not aware of this, Frank Borland is a joke because there is no Frank Borland, not associated with Borland from the old days. He was a mythical character created as a kind of advertising thing. So when people say, "I'm really hoping Frank Borland joins," no, probably not. What have we got going on? We have a whole pack of webinars coming up. We have 30 webinars coming for the 30th anniversary of Delphi. For those of you that don't know, although we talk about RAD Studio, this year on the 14th of February is the 30th anniversary of the release of Delphi, the initial release of Delphi. So it's kind of like Delphi's birthday, but I prefer to say anniversary because birthday sounds a bit weird, like it was a little toddler or something. Yes, it's grown a lot since that time, but that's part of it. But the webinars we've got will be coming up every Tuesday and every Friday at the time we are now until I think March, and then there's a clock change, but we will be continuing on way on into April. We're stopping in April because I've then got some conferences to go to. I've got one in Denmark. There's a couple in Germany, I think, as well as a few others as well. And most importantly, this year, if you've not been to it before, let's see if I can point to it. Yes, I pointed to it first time, which makes me very happy. This year, we are going to have, once again, GDK, who are awesome, by the way, throwing that Delphi Summit 2025. I will be there. If you've ever wanted to meet me and say hi, or you want to tell me something horrible's happened with your Delphi program and it's all my fault, then go ahead. But if you want to tell me something nice, I'm there for something nice as well. But I'll be doing several talks there, I think. A few others are coming. Richard Hatherall, who you saw, if you're a regular follower, you would have seen him in the webinars we had for the winter webinars. Marco Cantu, I believe, is going as well. And actually quite a few people from Embarcadero will be there. We're hoping to make this Delphi Summit, like on there, the biggest event in Europe for 2025 by far. We're still negotiating some details, but our marketing people and our management are very much behind this. If you want to go to the event, go to here, and also you get a discount if you go up and register now. This will be the top event. Now, there are some others coming up, and I will tell you about those later in the webinar series, because there's quite a few. There's 2 in Germany, there's 2 in Brazil, 1 in Japan, I think, and I may be going to the one in Japan. There was going to be 1 in South Korea, but there's a few little issues that are going on here. Hola, Guan. Okay. Hola desde Guanajuato, GTA. Oh, okay. Well, hi from there. Austria and all the other places as well. Brian Steer from Brian. Hello, Brian. I know who you are, from Embarcadero in the UK. Anyway, I did say I was going to do this. I will make sure that I'll put your hellos down at the bottom of the screen here, so that everybody gets their shout. I do like it when you say hi. I really would like you to carry on doing that, because I want people to realize how many different countries the webinars go out to. When we sent this email out, we don't give out normal numbers, but I would like to point something out. When we sent this email out, within 2 hours of the email, because this webinar is not even on our normal registration page, this one and Friday's one is kind of like a spontaneous live event. And so we sent an email out, and we can know, we know when you click, because there's the little thing that says someone clicked it. Within 2 hours, again, of that email was sent out, 1,800 people clicked to say they are interested in this webinar. I really, really want to thank you for all the support you give me. I know I get people emailing me all the time saying, oh, thanks for all you do for the community. This is nonsense and nothing to do with me. I'm just the guy that talks to the cameras. I'm just the guy that presents the hard work of other people. The Rad Studio team that work on the project, they're the ones that do all the hard work. We've got a lot of good things coming out this year, a couple of releases lined up, and some new features as well, which I can't tell you about at the moment because I've been sworn to secrecy, but you're going to love it. And yeah, Doug pointing out here, TIOBE, we're going up. We're rising up again. And last year, the end of last year, we did something quite remarkable. The TIOBE index is the index of programming language popularity around the world. It uses some weird metrics to decide on what your ranking is. And for the longest time, we were at number 17, and at one point, probably down to number 20 in the doldrums a few years ago. Last year, we hit number 10. And that is an important milestone for me. And I got quite emotional, and I realized that we became, again, one of the top 10 programming languages in the world. That's Object Pascal. So it's Delphi and Free Pascal, but Delphi, exceeds all sorts of other things. But I am a champion of Object Pascal and the teaching of Pascal in school, and particularly the type of brand of Pascal that you see that is modern Pascal, Object Pascal. I write for the Blaise Pascal magazine because we're all in it together. I want you to choose Embarcadero products. That's why I'm wearing my company shirt, and that's who I represent. I work for them. They employ me. They pay me. But I was always a fan of Delphi from day one, 30 years ago when I first saw it in February. And so, to see it rise back up into the top 10, now it's going to hover upwards and downwards, top 10 down to 11 and up to 10 again as well. We're trying to get it. I'm trying to make it so that we try and get even further than that, because COBOL, for example, is quite popular, and Fortran. That's weird. There are millions of people that use Delphi, and this year we're going to show you some of the projects that it's used. If you go to airports, the overhead announcements in Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam, for example, all driven by Delphi. Specific advertising that comes down to your TV about your local area, driven by Delphi. It's absolutely everywhere. Black boxes, flight recorders. It's got a database in it. We're so good at being silently successful because it doesn't go wrong that people don't realize how Delphi is used, but it's used absolutely everywhere. So anyway, today we've got, whoops, sorry about that, I clicked that too quickly. We have got a video from one of my favorite MVPs. He's very, very active, very smart guy. He's Swiss German, and everybody in Switzerland seems to be incredibly smart and very particular and precise and accurate. And that's a characterization of a whole nation. And I apologize for that, but it's a fact that Christoph is a good ambassador really for his country. And his webinar today is all about AI with Rad Studio using his project FB4D. And we're going to have, it's a pre-recorded video, and then at the end of it, he's going to appear live. Keep coming along, scan that code. If you want to, if you're in Europe or you can get to Europe, please do go to that Delphi Summit, because I promise you, it is going to be something spectacular. I will be there for all the time at that summit over there. And come and meet me and sit down, talk about Delphi and talk about development, things like that. But it won't just be me, there are lots of other people as well, but it's definitely one. I want to emphasize GDK are putting this on, so fair play to them. But last year, it was spectacular. There were Ray Konopka and all sorts of people there, names that you would recognize from, the glory days. Kerry Jansen was there with his wife. And anybody was at that summit. It's held in a video games arena, which is just the perfect venue. The stage is enormous. Go to that. If you go to that QR code, and I'll show it later as well. If you go there and scan it, it will show you the video of where we were doing things. Jim McKeith and I were dressed as Captain Picard, and he was James T. Kirk. It's a lot of fun. It's really, you've got to do it. But this year, I promise you, is the renaissance for Delphi. We've been building up to it for a long time, but you've just got to believe me when I say that things are picking up quite spectacularly. And that's this is a year of Linux in the community. Yeah, well, we shall see. I'm just going to click a few more. We've got so many people say hi. Wow, I'm being overwhelmed with comments. Look, I'll get through to them all as we go along. But and Marcus, by the way, another great MVP, as his name's there. Marcus Hum, another great MVP from southern Germany. They're all over the place. Germans have got very good representation. But anyway, enough from me for now. I will get to your chats and all the rest of it and make sure that all the highs and everything get in there. But enough ado. Let's get the video up. And then once the video is finished in 47 minutes time, we will have Christoph live to answer your questions. You do not know what the Gemini project from Google can do. I didn't until I read it. It does some amazing things. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in about 47 minutes.
Hello Delphi developers from all over the globe. Today I would like to show you how you can integrate Gemini AI into your Delphi application to solve tasks that were previously unsolvable with algorithms. Gemini AI is an LLM, a large language model from Google that allows you to use natural language as a human-machine interface. The ability to process natural language enables a wide range of applications, especially in the area of business applications. But first, I would like to introduce myself to anyone who doesn't know me yet. I have been a Delphi developer for many years, and like many others, I started with Turbo Pascal. I live and work in Switzerland, where the Pascal language also has its origins. With my own engineering and consulting company Schneider Infosystems, I realized many successful projects with Delphi in the last 25 years. And besides developing of my own commercial products, I wrote the open source library FB4D. What I'm showing today, I will start with an introduction to Gemini AI and my open source library FB4D. Next I will show you how to get started with Gemini AI. Then I will show you the first steps in the demo FB4D app to create texts. In the next step, we will automatically interpret images and documents and output the results in a structured way. But I also want to point out typical problems with LLMs, and I show what hallucinations are. Next, I will show a use case for a business application where I interpret PDFs in order to be able to process the data in a structured form. Then it goes into the code, how to build the whole thing and what the necessary interfaces of FB4D look like. Finally, there is a summary and an outlook. Let's start with the introduction into Gemini AI, which is a large language model comparable to ChatGPT, Llama or Anthropic Claude. Gemini AI is a Google DeepMind project. Google is still working hard on changing the API and the models. The interface of Gemini AI is now available in version 1, but not all functionality is already included, which is why I still recommend using the older version 1 beta. Gemini AI was quickly integrated into Firebase documentation and helps with writing code, for example for writing security rules, indexes and further. As today, I don't expect Gemini AI will be ever offered as a standalone service in Firebase services. This is because Gemini AI is already offered indirectly via the Vertex AI platform in Firebase. The integration of the predecessor MLKit was also not solved ideally. Access for users could never be restricted via Firebase authentication, but only the Firebase project API key was shared between MLKit and the other Firebase services. I don't want to hide the fact that I would like to see a better integration of AI services in Firebase, which would be based on a Firebase authentication and would allow me to use usage quotas for individual Firebase users. This functionality has to build today with a Firebase Cloud function, which unfortunately is not that easy. I cannot explain in this session how an LLM works in detail, but I can show you what this LLM can do and give you hints about what is possible with it. Important to know is that training data is not public and is Google's trade secret. The data sources for the training data come from the internet: Wikipedia, books, scientific articles, websites, online newspapers, Stack Overflow, Git repos for programming, and furthermore is used by Google. Newer, better and also larger models are constantly available. With ChatGPT 3, the training volume was still several hundred billions of tokens, which corresponds to approximately 600 gigabytes of text. The model sizes are getting bigger and bigger and are taking on extreme dimensions. And DeepMind is known for its huge models. All LLM do not usually search the internet when querying, so knowledge of the cutoff date of model creation is limited. But Gemini AI now offers just that in the beta version with an integrated search tool. Unfortunately, this feature is not yet available in the stable version 1, but I expect this will be changed soon. Unlike ChatGPT, the Gemini AI model cannot be trained with your own data, but, and this is where it gets complicated, you can upload your own structured datasets to fine-tune the Gemini 1 Pro model, but this is not generally available for all models, so my wrapper library does not offer this feature yet. And this point can be completely different in just 1 month. In any case, I'm staying on the top of this issue. So, let's go to introduction in FB4D. By the way, FB4D stands for Firebase for Delphi. The project is hosted on GitHub. Give it a star if you like the project. Writing code for an open source library is not enough. It also needs to be well documented. I have invested a lot of time in the wiki. Please read it before asking questions in the discussion forum. But there is a discussion forum, and if you have serious questions, I take time to answer your questions. And there are 7 sample projects in this project, which you can show how FB4D is working. The lib can also be installed via Gedit, but the status there is usually outdated, as Gedit does not yet allow automatic updates from GitHub. In version 1.7, Gemini AI is now included. Mostly, we start in an application with the Firebase user authentication. Then we have 2 NoSQL databases. The first one, the real-time database, stores a large JSON object, while the newer Firestore database contains a collection of documents, where each document contains a JSON tree with predefined data types. The storage can be used to write files into the cloud and read files from the cloud. With Cloud Function, we can write server-side functions written in JavaScript or TypeScript. FB4D allows you to call such functions and hand over the parameters and wait for the results. ML Vision was the first generation of machine learning for image recognition. With Gemini AI, we have a newer version of image recognitions combined with NLP, with natural language processing. FB4D is a pure source code library. You don't need to install any packages. It is based on the REST API and gRPC API. It is a cross-platform library for using with VCL and FireMonkey framework. It supports Windows, Mac OS, Linux, Android, and iOS. All what we have with Delphi. There are class interfaces for all services, and these are accessible via a central class factory if you like. It provides for all service functions 2 methods. The first one is a blocking variant, asynchronous methods for using in thread and services. The second one are non-blocking asynchronous methods with its callbacks for using in the main thread of a GUI application. Thanks to fluent design of the interfaces, the code is shorter and more readable. Let's start. After cloning the GitHub repo, we see this folder and files. In the source folder there are 70 Pascal units and 3 include files. The most important file is the interface file. The sample folder, we open the project group FB4D sample for FireMonkey sample application. Today we check the first application in this group, the demo FB4D, which demonstrates the entire functionality of FB4D in one desktop application. Here I show you the interface unit, which contains interface classes, enumerations, and records used for Gemini AI. I will explain the detail later. The unit Gemini AI contains the implementation of these interfaces. The main class is named Gemini AI and contains all the methods you need. The frame Gemini AI contains the entire functionality to demonstrate Gemini AI functionality. Now let's start the application. We don't need to enter the Firebase project ID and the Web API key because Gemini AI is not yet fully integrated in Firebase. A click on the logo opens the wiki page in a separate browser, and it depends on which tab you was before. I have written many applications in my life, but this is my first application that allows you to ask questions in a natural language and whose answers are not predetermined by someone else. Let's see what the LLM answers to the question, why we need to know Gemini AI. The result is displaying in a web browser, but originally the web server responses with Markdown format. On the tab Metadata, we see the usage and the number of tokens that has an effect on the cost. In the last tab, we see the original JSON object retrieved from the web service. But before you can ask such a question in the demo app, I have to go a little further and introduce Gemini AI and the AI Studio on the web. To open the AI Studio in your browser, simply click on the provided link in the demo app. Get an API key in the AI Studio and copy the key into the edit field in the demo app. Unfortunately, you need a credit card to get started, but the costs for development work are marginal. I have spent for the entire development of the FB4D wrapper interface less than $1 on tokens so far. In the AI Studio, we can also take our first steps with text-based questions and learn how to ask them. This discipline is called prompt design. You can also get to know the current models here. Flash models are simpler than robust models. Pro models, on the other hand, are designed for more complex questions. I will explain the model parameters later in the AI Studio. You can play with the current parameters and examine what effects the select parameters have on the responses. Gemini AI already supports many natural languages. We can easily start the question in one language and continue the second sentence in another language. However, the system usually responds in the language in which we ask the question. Let's go back into the demo application in order to generate text and interpret images and documents. What can we do with this text generation functionality? Here I list possible applications in apps. We can correct and improve texts. The review can do much more than just intelligent grammar and spelling correction. But we can also allow writing text based on keywords. We can translate texts, of course, and we can abbreviating and summarizing texts out of documents. And we can interpret text, extracting structured information from longer texts or from longer documents. This example shows how to write a mail just using a few keywords. Such a function in a business application can speed up processes for the user. The text quality is good. The model has also selected only content that is relevant to the letter. For example, the customer's company name is not included in the mail because it makes no sense. Now I would like to give you some tips on how best to ask the questions. Give the system clear and precise instructions. If possible, delimit the questions by specifying restrictions. With text generation, we can not only create natural language, but also formatted texts for HTML, XML or JSON are possible. It is also often useful if we provide some context for the task. In which environment do I ask this question? It can also be helpful to include an example answer in the question. For longer and more complicated questions, where the last answer of the system are important to understand the new and next question, we send the entire chat history. Otherwise, the model will not remember the answer it has already sent to me. I will now demonstrate the output in various text-based formats and give ideas what possible is. First, an example to show the possibility to generate scalable vector graphics. And now, I need some test data for writing a unit test. I need some addresses. But I need it in JSON format. Therefore, I sent the second request in chat mode where the answer to the first question as well the initial question is sent to the web server again. Next, I will show you how we can configure the model. In the fold-out part of Gemini configuration, below the API key, you can define your own values for the model parameters, which are used in the next request. The maximum number of output tokens define the length of the text that the system is allowed to create. This also controls the cost of the next question. What exactly is a token? Well, this is, as I know, not exactly defined, but a token corresponds approximately to a word or a punctuation mark. The next parameter is the temperature of the generated text. The higher it is, the more random, creative, and versatility the response. But be aware, a high creativity goes hand in hand with a high unpredictability. The next two parameters, top P and top key, also influences the predictability of the answer. Play with this parameter and see which one provides the best answer to your questions. Gemini AI attaches a great importance to safe and secure responses and also give us settings options here to keep various threats under control. More categories have been defined yet, but these are not yet being processed. With the level we indicate for each category whether this hazard is important in our application. By entering stop words, we can prevent that the model generates these words. For example, we can prevent the model from talking to our customer in a chat about the competitor's products or even promoting it. On the other hand, this function stops the output immediately when a such word is generated. This is particularly a problem for formatted outputs. I hope this function will be improved in the future. As already mentioned, there is an exciting extension option to enable Gemini AI to use Google search during the query and incorporate the results of the search into the answer. Unfortunately, this is currently only possible for the API version 1 beta and not yet for the stable version 1. This function is now brand new and has only been available in Europe and Switzerland since the beginning of January this year. And what I did not expect, this function is not available for all models. Gemini 1.5 Pro allows you to use this feature. To check if it works, you can just query the current time and date. In this example, I ask for the current weather at my location. As mentioned, Gemini AI allows you to ask a question about one or more images or processed documents. It can be used to read information from images and processes in a structured way, or find information in documents, read it out and process it in a structured way. As next, I would like to show you how far the general knowledge of this LLM goes. For this purpose, I show a picture of vehicles and want to know the name of the car. Yes, as far as I know, it's a Corvette Chevrolet. And this is a modern electric SUV from South Korea. This answer is correct. It's a Peugeot. Now I'm showing an older model. Yes, this is correct. The model knows a lot about cars. Let's change to a more difficult task, recognizing cockpits from passenger aircraft. Yes, this is an Airbus. Would you have recognized it? I made more tests also with sailing yachts, and I have seen the system knows a lot. Yes, here we have a Boeing 737. What does Gemini know about Greek history? This is a photo from my last summer vacation. As far as I can read, everything is correct. Really amazing, and I didn't include any geodata in the picture. Here is another photo of the East Coast in the United States. I didn't know all these details when I took this photo, but as far as I know, the answer is correct. Okay, now I want to show you how to read and interpret documents. This is a document from the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Zurich. If someone is writing a thesis or a dissertation, they must complete this form. What is the purpose of this document, I ask? Today he has to explain in detail whether and how he used artificial intelligence when writing his paper. As you can see, even in research, working with AI is becoming easier, but there are problems when it comes to evaluation. Okay, I didn't want to know this, but I also asked the wrong question. Let's formulate that again. Correct. But of course, this topic is exciting, but not worthy of a dissertation. Now I want to know what decision I made concerning the initial question. It only recognizes my choice by the small dot inside the circle in front of the text in the question. Can the LLM also explain to me what the differences are in the choice of the options? At first glance, the answer looks similar to me. Yes, it seems that AI understands the text and can extract the meaning correctly. This is an impressive performance, which I wouldn't have expected. It is a good example of what is possible today. Now I also have to talk about the problematic aspect of LLM. Not everything what the system delivers is always correct. This effect is called hallucination. Hallucinations seem plausible, but are completely invented by the system itself. These problems affect all LLM systems, and our problem is that these errors are hardly automatically recognizable. The good thing is that this problem has been recognized and is currently being intensively researched. It is to be expected that the systems will improve in the future. I have already noticed this during my development. However, I assume that this problem will continue to occupy us in one form or another in the future. We can only try to avoid certain questions. For example, questions about daily news or also internet links are often wrong. Now I want to show you this by an example. I ask what he knows about FB4D. And the result is absolute rubbish. When I asked this question the first time, he mentioned that FB4D stands for Firebird for Delphi. And he was talked about SQL. It doesn't get better with changed model parameters. I have also made many queries about myself and my company and had exactly the same problem at the beginning. With the latest models, it reacts correctly to people and companies. I don't have enough information, please search with Google. A lot has already happened between the start of my research in May and today. Gemini 1.5 is much better in this respect, but he still doesn't know FB4D. And here you see also this link. is completely made up. As next, I would like to present the use case for a business application. In a customer relationship management application, there is a desire to automatically read in PDFs and interpret the content. As a result, the invoice details are to be recorded in a JSON object, which can later be saved in the database. Everyone agrees with me that the task marked in red is by far the most difficult. We will now solve this in few minutes with AI and in a quality that was previously unattainable. Read my prompt first that asks for a JSON object. I'm now loading the first PDF of an invoice. This is an invoice from my company of a fictitious customer, Mr. James Bob from Canada. In this scenario, I charge software consulting services and expenses for the integration of my open source library in a customer's CRM. Okay, here comes the result. Let's check the details. First, we have this reason of payment. Okay, this is correct. This is written in the description. Secondly, we check the amount. The amount is in Swiss francs. Correct. The tax rate and the tax amount, both are correct. Now we go to the sender name and address and the receiver name and address. Everything is fine. As next, we want to check the IBAN number. You see, he has found the IBAN number, the European interbanking number for the unique identification of a bank account. But there is nothing written about an IBAN in the payment part. The AI therefore knows the format and the typical use of this number. Now we check the invoice number. Correct. And the payment date. Okay, we go to the next invoice. Let's load a real invoice. This is a real invoice from my company, from Embarcadero from 2015 for the annual maintenance. Let me ask Gemini AI again with the same prompt, because I want to be able to use it in the later product for all invoices. Here we have a new JSON object received. Let's check the reason of payment. Yes, that's correct. It's a renewal on the maintenance of a user, named user license. And the amount is correct. And we are in euros. Currency is euro. There is no tax because this is export. Then where is the sender name and address? In the header there is no sender name, but here in the bank details we have at least the bank information, and he takes that because he misses the sender name and address as this. Receiver address and the ship to address, he takes the receiver address correctly. So let's check the IBAN number. It seems to be correct. Oh, we could also need the SWIFT code for addressing the invoice properly. Let's do again. I have added the SWIFT code as a new field in the JSON object, and now let's check. We have here the SWIFT code properly. And we have the account number, the bank account number. What about the invoice number? The invoice number, where is the invoice number? Ah, the invoice number is in the title. But it is correct. We have seen the client number already. And what's about the date of payment? There is no date of payment mentioned. Probably because I have paid by credit card. So the only date we have is the date here, and it takes this date as date of payment. Okay, let's go a step further. That's a handwritten invoice. That's really not nice handwriting. But I would like to use this to check that AI still delivers something useful even with problematic invoices. Okay, let's ask what we get from this invoice. Okay. First of all, the reason of payment. Here it's written window glass A15, okay, P75 is not well, but my handwriting is not well. But the total amount is correct. Then the currency is correct, the tax is correct, the tax rate is correct. Now we check the sender name and address. Seaglass Corporation, woodworking, carpentry. Here the first W is small caption, but this is not a big issue. What's about the bank account number? It's a US bank account number. It seems to be correct and well formatted. The SWIFT code? Correct. The due date is the same as the date of payment, correct? And we don't have an invoice number and a client number in this handwritten invoice. In the demo app, I described the JSON object in a natural language in the prompt, and that already worked well. But we can make the prompt even more secure for their integration in an application. Now, I would like to show a better option that is currently not implemented in the demo application. That's why I'm showing my unit tests now. Here, I open the same PDF as before I've shown in the demo. And secondly, I build a request based on a JSON scheme with predefined fields of certain types. After getting the answer, I use this JSON object and extract the content. And in the unit test, I test everything. So let's run. There are 5 unit test methods in this Gemini AI unit test, but we start this test PDF interpretation as JSON object. Here you see the resulting object. It's exactly what we have defined in the scheme. And everything is passed. Because we are already in the unit test, I will also show you a second unit test method that generates JSON object, as this is a slightly safer way to check test responses. Here I have 2 simple mathematical formulas. The first one is correct, the second one is wrong, and this should be detected in the AI. Here I set up a JSON object for a better test. And here I can test the fields, what I expect as outcome. And here we have the second formula with obviously wrong. It's not 2A, it's A and B. And let's start the test. What is the outcome of this test? It's test JSON object creation. Let it start. And here we see the resulting JSON object of both tests. The first one, first factor is A, is formula correct, is true, number of factors 2, resulting term A, power 2. Second factor A, absolutely correct. We have already seen some code in the unit test, but now I would like to explain the most important interface classes. I begin with the central interface to control the Gemini AI. The first method, generate content by prompt, can be used for the simplest text-based requests. As a result, I get an interface of Gemini AI response, which I will show on the next slide. To keep this slide simple, I have only shown the symmetrical methods. The asymmetrical methods is a procedure with a parameter for a callback method instead of a function. The second method, generate content by request, requires an Gemini AI request interface, which offers more possibility. We will see this on the next slide when I explain that interface. And the two count methods allows to check what a question of the AI costs. To know the cost of the answer, I need first start Gemini AI, but I can limit the maximum tokens that will be generated. This interface contains all the information that I received from the AI in response to a question. Gemini AI returns a markdown formatted text. If I had a component in the FireMonkey framework that could display markdown, that would have been easy. Now I convert markdown to HTML and have integrated the open source library from the Australian developer Graham Grieve as a submodule in FB4D. If you don't want this solution, you can have the corresponding code removed with a conditional compiling. The function result as JSON only makes sense in those cases where I also supply a JSON scheme to the request. We saw this in the unit test already. And as you can see, there are many more methods of accessing details of the result that I won't go in detail here. Please read the wiki. Let's move on to the interface with which we can make more complex requests. With the prompt function, we can again make a simple text request, which, thanks to Fluent Design, can later be supplemented with model parameters and more. The method prompt with media data allows to take over a media stream together with a prompt. Media streams can be images, PDF, but also video and audio files. The method prompt with image data is only available when using the FireMonkey framework, because VCL does not offer yet the extract of the meme type from an image stream. Here we can set the model parameters and the safety settings. And with this method, we can build a chat with multiple queries and answers from the model. This brings me to the end of my presentation. I would like to mention a few more important points. The costs are moderate. I paid less than $1 for the entire development of Gemini AI interface wrapper. Hallucinations are and will remain a problem for a while that we must avoid as much as possible. But I already see significant progress in this topic. In my opinion, the present FB4D Gemini AI solution is ideally suited to build an in-house solution or to make requests within a server application. By the way, it is also possible to build a console application with it. If you build a desktop or a mobile application with it, the problem is that the API key can be stolen, unless you do it like in Red Studio and let the customer enter their own key. Otherwise, a solution via cloud function that encapsulates access to the Gemini AI would be ideal. And last but not least, there are certainly data protection concerns that we have to take into account. In my view, even better legal regulations are needed here, so that we can also build sensitive applications with them. Finally, let me mention a few words as the open source developer of this library. If you like the library, give it a star in the GitHub repo to increase the visibility. If you can use the library in a commercial project, I strongly recommend that you think about the sponsoring. Then you will ensure the further development of this library. Since all Google Web Server interfaces are changing and evolving, this helps you to secure your own development investment. I hope you enjoyed this session and thank you for your attention.
Fantastic. That was a really good demo. I really liked the section where he identified things like cockpits of planes and stuff like that. When he took the handwritten invoice, which, as he said, as Christoph said in the chat, he feels like that's the best demo. A lot of questions, which is good because in the studio with me, let me just pull him up, is Christoph. Let me just get you across. Hi, Christoph. How are you?
Hello. Hello.
Really great demo. I really enjoyed that, and a lot of comments from people. Tarek says thanks. I think he means thanks. I think he got ChatGPT to help him do the thanks spelling there. So yeah. Some of the questions, you know, the reason that I wanted to do this was because let me just, can I go to this? Yeah, no, it's the same. I was going to make the slides bigger. Let me see if I can do that. Yeah, there you go. So I wanted to do this because I think it's one of those subjects where there's a lot of activity. When we get people submitting to the Get It libraries, we get a ton, like probably every other one is something to do with AI. And I think your project is also available in Get It, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's not on the newest stage, but yeah.
Yeah, and actually, if they look up on the QR code there, they can scan that. It doesn't just do this; it does a lot of things as well, doesn't it? What other things does the library do?
Yeah, the library makes other things. It comes from Firebase, authentication, real-time database, Firestore, the better or the newer database, a non-SQL database, as well as storage. If you want to build your own Dropbox system, you can build that with storage. You can upload files, you can download files, and all these services plays together. Also, normally, you make a structure in Firestore, and you store your file in the storage. And beside of that, you have functions, and then the AI stuff. And as I mentioned before, the Vision ML was for me the first what I have, or the first step what I have done with an AI project here in Firebase. can be used for picture interpretation, connection things in pictures. But with Gemini AI, in my opinion, you have more than that. You have now natural language processing together with media. You can upload your media. You can upload PDFs. You can upload images. You can also upload video. But this is what I not have done until far. You can also upload audio.
And I want to emphasize to people who are scanning that code, look, if it's open source, that's right. It's an open source library. You can use it for free. That's what open source means. And that's the generosity of this. It doesn't mean that the code is poor. It means that it is generously given to the community. But anybody that's watching, look, have a think about this. How much would you spend on a pizza? How much time have you saved with this code? For all the open source people out there, and I do this myself from time to time, consider sponsoring it, because if you do not sponsor open source projects, at least I don't expect you to sponsor all of them, but if you use this kind of library, because he put so much effort into this, Christoph, and this is the second video Christoph made to demonstrate this. We made the first one in December, and we couldn't fit his webinar in, and he was righteously annoyed at me, and I don't blame him. He's like, I put so much effort into this, Ian, and things have changed. But this is a lot of effort, and I think if you're gonna forgo a pizza or something, because that's kind of what we're talking about, and sponsor an open source project. If it's not Christoph, that's fine. If you use open source, consider sponsoring it, because that's what you're talking about. If enough, if 100 people sponsor it for the price of a pizza, it's helped Christoph. And I really do believe. I mean, we do help open source projects, ourselves at Embarcadero. We give out licenses and things like that as well. But
and one point which I want to mention a little bit more is such library needs maintenance. The services, the REST API that are running targets, they go further and further, and some variants gets obsolete. New functionalities are coming, and this needs maintenance. And if you use this library for a commercial product, I recommend to make sponsoring, because
hey, do you know what? And the thing is, if they're using it for a commercial product, think about how much time they would have spent writing this library. Factor that into what it would have cost you in the time, and consider. I mean, I don't want to keep pushing the idea of money, but I think it's important. I think that open source needs our support. Embarcadero, if you've got an open source project out there, contact me and we will try and work with you. Christoph is an MVP actually anyway, so he does have licenses from us, but we will donate licenses to certain open source projects to help encourage them to reduce the cost of supporting Delphi. And if there's a project out there that's open source and you think it's great, and someone can produce a Delphi interface for that, contact me and I'll see what I can do. I can do some quite magical things for those projects. And Christoph has got my support. I've met Christoph before, we met in Amsterdam, didn't we?
In Amsterdam, we met. That.
Yeah. So we're going to you're going to the Delphi Summit, right?
I hope. I hope.
Of course you are. Yeah.
I have written in the call of paper, so
yeah. So it's
cross the fingers.
Yeah, I guarantee you'll get accepted in that. But I mean, this is the thing about things like the Delphi Summit. There are people there like Christoph. You do great work, and I was kind of mortally wounded that we didn't get to you last time, but you're a good guy, and you did come back. Let's address some of the questions that we've got, because I pinned a few of them. Peter Panino, who I know who Peter is, and he was at the Delphi Summit last year.
I didn't.
I won't call him out. It's up to him to reveal who he is, but I know who he is. So he was asking some questions about ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It kind of progressed because he was saying about the question I think that we were talking about is it's not able to, ChatGPT can't access the full documentation of Delphi third-party libraries.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of that's an issue, I think, in general with AI, because they've got to be able to, it's almost like a web search engine in terms of what they got to do to index the websites, but also,
perhaps
it's even worse because now they've got to actually, make some meaning from those.
For me, it's a good question. Perhaps I could demonstrate that live.
Do you want to
if
try
I'm
sharing
able
screen, and
to
I can turn
share
your
my
screen
screen.
on, I think. Yeah, go for it. If you just, there should be a share button.
Yeah, I have used it, and
Don't see.
but I didn't see.
I don't see you in the list, so maybe you need to try it again.
Shall I?
Oh, here we go. It says you've shared your screen. Let's see if we can do that. Hold on.
Do you see
I might
it
need
now?
to change views.
It's my intro demo. Perhaps I have to share the entire screen, but
it says you've shared it, but
perhaps like that. Oh, yeah, that's fine.
There you go. See,
cool.
Let me just put us to the one side here like this. Actually, it's not so good, is it? You probably want that bigger, I think. Let's go back to doing that.
Yeah.
So we can see your screen, so go ahead and do what you need to do.
It's exactly the question. Of course, we could use another third-party component, but I will demonstrate the power of grounding with Google Search. And by the way, Google Search grounding with Google Search is available since 1st of January. In December, this was not working here in my location in Switzerland, and what I know also in Europe, it was not free. In the United States, it was working, and I used VPN. Perhaps.
Yeah, someone else mentioned that. I mean, look, here's the official company line. I'm not going to condone that as on behalf of Embarcadero. However, they must know it happens, and that's what anybody's going to do if they can't, if they're geographically excluded. So, yeah.
But even if I don't use Google grounding, we have here no, that's the first time that I see this answer without using Google grounding.
That's typical, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's learned. It is it's going, I know, I'll cause him problems.
Okay, at least he mentioned Firebase for Delphi. That's correct. But he mentioned a lot of stuff which is not, cloud messaging is not yet integrated.
Hallucinations, right? That's what we do. Yeah.
Something are hallucinations here. And
yeah, if I just explain for a second, because some people might not know what that means. Yeah. If you don't understand what AI hallucinations are, it's basically where the AI makes stuff up. Yeah. And it doesn't make it up. It's to do with the way that AI does that kind of tokenization of knowledge. And it just literally draws conclusions that aren't true. In some of the generative AI, where it's producing images, it can do things like add an extra finger to a portrait, or you say, draw me a picture of a hedgehog, and it actually draws a kangaroo or something, because it just literally draws its wrong conclusions. And that the name given for that kind of inaccurate answer is a hallucination, where the statistics of the inputs of the AI have come together to produce something that's just, I made a note of what you said, because it was just the best thing ever. You said Where was it?
Yeah.
And this result is absolute rubbish, which I thought was so funny.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, as I say.
Yeah, I totally
But
agree. Yeah.
yeah, if I use grounding with Google search, you see it's much more precise. But as I
So
can see here,
it's like tuning. I mean, if it's almost like it, uh, with a radio, if you're trying to, you're getting the sound from a radio, but it's getting other interference from other radio stations. So you turn the little dial a bit and make it more accurate. I'm not even sure what analogies you would have in other scenarios, but it's basically saying, look, you've got to be absolutely certain of the fact before you display it in here. And I think that's what the grounding is saying, isn't it? It's like the certainty factor of what it's making up. Is that right?
no, for my understanding, if I use grounding by Google search during the answering,
okay. Yeah, I
he
understand.
asks things on Google search, and here we see what he was asking. He was just
I
asking
misunderstood. Yeah, okay.
FB.
So it's saying ask someone else to back the facts up, is what you're saying, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
And here, by the way, this is in the raw JSON result. Here you see the details in grounding chunks, which things or which URL he asks, with which parameters. For example, here he was searching in the Delphi praxis.
Yeah.
Welcome, colleagues from Hamburg.
Yes, Germany. Actually, plenty of people around the world use it, but yeah, it's based in Germany.
It's in
Delphi
Germany.
Praxis, for those that don't use it, DelphiPraxis.net. You should go there. If you've got a question about Delphi, these
it's
guys.
It's a good reference for asking things on Delphi.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Exactly. Here you see the queries. As I understand, here you see the queries he made during answering of my question. And in fact, it's more precise, and I recommend to use that if you have, for example, if you want to ask the weather condition or the time or what else, or stock market situations, you need to use Google search as grounding. That the machine learning, the LLM is able to answer your question accurate and get the current information he needs.
Yeah, it's a little bit like one person in the comments. Let me just pull them up again in a moment. Hold on just 1 second. One person, where was it? He said something, and I said, yeah, he said Gemini lacks stability, often exhibits hallucinations in responses, and shows less expertise compared to ChatGPT. And I said to him, have you got some statistics for that? Where's I'm not trying to call him out in a kind of confrontational way, but what I'm saying is, great, I hear you saying that, but give me your grounding for that response, which is what you're saying here is, okay, if you're going to give me an answer, I need to understand who did you ask? Where did you draw what were your sources for that answer? So if you say that you believe that ChatGPT is better that in some way, then tell me what makes you think that. And actually, the answer he gave was this. And sorry, Mohammed, I'm not trying to be cruel to you here. I'm just I think you gave a good answer. I'm just trying to make the point that this is like Gemini, which is really just saying, look, logically, it's been around longer. And so from that, I can say, okay, so you don't actually have some hard facts and figures. You feel like it should be more accurate. As a computer scientist, or however you want to review us, as a boringly logical person, the first thing I'm going to ask you when anybody says, here's a fact, I'm going to say, tell me where you got that from.
On which numbers?
Yeah, show me the numbers.
From a mathematical
and I mean, I quote a lot of things, and people call me out all the time, quite rightly, and say, hey, you're talking nonsense. And I'll say, here's, after 40 years in the industry, here's where I've drawn that information from. And yeah, sometimes I'm wrong. I'm a human being. I'm not a chat GPT. I get it wrong. So,
of course,
yeah,
I use also ChatGPT during my normal work, but I cannot compare it. And even what I want to say, Gemini is continuous evolving as others too, and it's a battle what they do.
I personally, I've said this before in other webinars where we've had AI. I think it's the most exciting technology event to have happened for some time. I think that, I was around for the invention of the IBM PC. I am that old. And I was, I remember Linux coming out and even Delphi, of course, it's 30 years. But the internet, I remember when the internet was all dial-up. In fact, way before that, I was already working in IT. And we worked on Janet, which was a predecessor of, and I remember being shown ADSL years ago, which suddenly made very fast, always on internet technology available. And I thought, that's amazing. That's going to be significant. The web servers and all the rest of it. Now, I believe that the AI
another revolution.
Is coming out at the moment, I think this is another revolution. And I think most of us say, all right, we've got some reservations, but I definitely think this is a moment.
What I want to demonstrate here is that we are now in a good time to think about if you have a business application. It's, in my opinion, a very good a time now to think about how can I integrate such functionality into my application, because as I have shown, we can now do something which was before not possible.
I mean, even with Richard Hatherall, when he was showing the Amazon stuff, and in fact, we have got another session with Amazon AWS recognition. It's breathtaking. As an old style developer who, I used to program in C and COBOL and things like that. It's mind-blowing.
We are in science fiction.
It's like, I can't believe it can do this. When you showed it in your demo, looking at a handwritten invoice, and not only recognizing the text, but extracting meaning from that text in a way that was structured and usable.
And here in handwriting detection, I made a lot of investigation in the past with ML vision. We made studies with students, and the situation was we want to make photos from post-its in a situation where
one of these kind of note things to make sure it doesn't say anything. But
a workshop, and you want photograph this post-it, and you want translate that, or you make or you want to make synthesized post-its. This was the goal of the project. And we were gone, I believe, 2019. The first version, ML Vision, was ready. And yeah, this was very interesting to see. At the beginning, it was not working at all. The handwriting detection was not. Of course, some character was fine, but overall it was not usable. And 3 years later, I realized now it's fine. And yeah, if you see such a fast development, this is
Well, this
amazing.
is it's the pace of the development, and I
Yeah,
think we're only just on the very edge of it beginning,
yeah,
because it's just
absolutely.
this is very impressive first start. Peter Panino, who is a regular, he comes to a lot of our webinars, and always got some good questions. Is a smart guy. He was asking this question, which I'm not sure whether you know the answer to this. I think I googled it, and the answer was yes. Are you able to ask Gemini AI to process the contents of websites?
Yeah, with Google grounding, this is exactly also Google search, grounding by Google search, I should mention.
Yeah, so
but,
that was kind of answer that.
yeah,
And
including
actually,
JavaScript here, I'm unsure, but I believe this.
Yeah, it's an area for additional research around, I think. And as Olaf, you know Olaf as well as I do, is a very good MVP as well. In ChatGPT, you can create custom GPTs that may contain files. The reason that question came up was because there was some discussion about limits. At the moment, it's costing Microsoft an arm and a leg to run their models, and I'm sure it's the same with Google, that they've got this tremendous computing power, but AI models at the moment are horrendously expensive for the people who are providing that service. It's almost like a reverse of normal commerce. They're trying to charge a very small amount to you, but it's costing them, the power of a small town to come up with that answer, which is absolutely weird business model if you think about it. It's not often you say, well, it cost me $1,000 to produce a steak I'm going to sell to you for $10. I mean, it's just insane, isn't it? But that's what these AI models are at the moment. They're relying, I think, on lots and lots of people using them at a price.
Customizing of LLMs is of course a topic, but as I know, until yet, Gemini offers only fine-tuning for one Gemini 1 model. That is what I heard. I have no experience in using that, but perhaps I should mention that Moxie Donkey is also an attendee.
Yes, I know him well. Yes,
of this webinar, and he is, by the way, the author and writer of Gemini for Delphi, another open source library. So he's a competitor, but we are in contact.
Friendly competition, yes.
We are in the Delphi community, and we are
in his Maxi Donkey stuff is actually in Get It as well. He's submitted. I can't remember the exact status. I actually see a lot of the Get It submissions, and I'm one of the people that give it the thumbs up or down. So I see a lot of those, and I forget which ones have been been launched onto there. But Maxi Donkey, you're a good guy. I get your submissions, and you know what you're talking about.
Also, he made in his open source library an option to fine tune and to upload structured data sets. But even as I know from research, this is only available for an outdated model, and I'm curious what comes next about that.
I mean, this is the problem that you had, wasn't it? That things were moving so fast on the Google Gemini AI, which I put it up in the corner there, that keeping up is a problem. I think this is going to be an issue for a few years, that the whole what they can do with the AI expands what they want to provide in terms of API endpoints and stuff like that. I find it very exciting. It's a great time. I sound like some kind of weird advert here, but I think it's a great time to be alive as a technologist, as a developer, that all these things are coming out, and I really, really think something exciting is happening. And there was this stupid phrase that they had in politics, which was the post-truth generation, where they were just basically saying, well, we can lie and it doesn't matter. Well, AI hopefully will help eradicate some of that, because if your computer can automatically say, no, what this person's saying is absolute crap, then you can call them out on it. And I like that idea. And it might be a bad day for me, because I'm sure it'll be red flagging 90% of what I say, but I think it's it's an exciting time, and if it means my career is done because they know I'm a fake, then that's
that YouTube make a banner. This is not true. What we say here.
Exactly. It'll be doing thumbs down automatically.
Automatically.
Exactly.
Happens in the future.
Christoph, I think you're a great guy. We get on pretty well, and that was an excellent demo. This, for all of you watching, this will be available on the YouTube afterwards. I know we're broadcasting live. We broadcast to 11 channels, so there's multiple YouTube channels, LinkedIn, Meta Live, which I think is Facebook. There's multiple Facebook channels, Instagram. It's absolutely everywhere. On the YouTube channels, we get a couple of thousand after a couple of days, but go on the replays. Now, it's very important to those of you that are watching. These two, today's webinar and Friday's webinar, are not in our normal cycle. So you have to click on the Watch Live button in your email. Find that email, click on Watch Live, and it'll come up. If not, and I'm going to sound like an influencer here, Christoph, click on the like button if you're watching on YouTube, and click on subscribe. And Christoph, you got a YouTube channel, have you? I think you do. Do you have a YouTube channel?
A YouTube, yes, I have my own YouTube channel.
Right, okay.
That's correct.
Yeah, well, so I'm going to put the QR code up for your website there, because it's on there, I think. Yeah, so do the same to Christoph, and don't forget.
You do also a great job for promoting such and distribute the knowledge about Delphi and open source libraries of Delphi.
Well, it's kind of you to say. So I say this to everybody. Look, I'm very lucky. I take everybody else's hard work, I talk about it a bit, and then I get all the glory. So it's great for me. I mean, I'm a developer first and foremost. I've always been a software developer.
At the end, the effect is important.
Yes. So for me, it's interesting, and I enjoy what I do. I think that our community is a very good community, and it's a very strong one. Okay, all right. Well, I'm going to let you go, and I will. You'll be on another one if you want to say goodbye for now. Thanks very much, Christoph.
Thank you for.
Okay, and that is it from me. Let me just embiggen myself. There you go. Christoph's website is up. Oh, there you go. I've moved my office around, so I had to move the QR code, but that's Christoph's website. The project that you saw was the FB4D, and it's free, open source, and very much worth taking a look at. MD Maxi Donkey is giving some love there, and he's being too nice. He's saying Delphi Gemini is just small talk compared to this. Look, Maxi Donkey's project is really good as well. Like any of these things, it just depends on what areas you're looking at, but it's great stuff. And there you go. Of course, Patrick Prematan, last year's Spirit of Delphi Award winner, and a good friend, and also going to Amsterdam. I'm sure. Are you going to Amsterdam? I'm sure he will be at the Delphi Summit. He's put Christoph's YouTube channel there, but it's probably just as easy to go to his websites and see those along there. Okay, now for those of you that missed the very start, I'm just going to put this up here, which is this link here. I will eventually, after about 30 of these webinars, get the point in the right directions. go to the Delphi Summit if you can possibly go. I know I keep talking about it. It's run by GDK. We are taking part in it as well, we being Embarcadero and Idera. But this is going to be the event of the year in Europe for sure. And if you do find Christoph's stuff useful and you use it in a project, consider sponsoring him as well. But because it makes a difference that Christoph will be there at the Delphi Summit as well. So you'll be able to ask him questions in person. So try his project out. Maybe you come with loaded with some questions as well. But if not, in the meantime, I am going to say goodbye for now. We are back on Friday, and it's going to be every Tuesday and every Friday for the next 3 months, I think. And I've got topics. I haven't got a card prepared yet that show you all the topics. In fact, there's so many, I'd actually need a couple of screens worth. But we are doing 30 for 30. So 30 webinars for 30 years of Delphi. Someone said, oh, it's Turbo Pascal 30. No, 40. Turbo Pascal's been out 40 years as of last year. 30 webinars for 30 years of Delphi is what we're doing. And we're going to cover AI. We're going to cover mobile databases on Friday. And we're going to talk about SQL Lightning database and a few other things as well. We've got some webinars showing AWS again. We're also going to be doing some stuff on user interface design because people like me doing that. All sorts of topics. In fact, you know what? I should really probably pull up. Oh, I don't have it available, but we'll make sure that you know all the topics. Trust me. We're going to send around a link on Friday to watch the videos live. Please click on that on the watch live thing, and then click on a little reminder. If you're on YouTube, hit subscribe and alert. Excuse me. We won't know who you are. If you go on YouTube and do that, we will not know who you are. All that will happen is YouTube will ping you and say, oh, they're going live, and then you get an alert that going live. But all of these will be on the YouTube channel on replay, and also in the IDE on the welcome page as well. So it'll be there. Gregor will be there. Excellent. That's good news. He'll be at the Delphi Summit. Saber Diamond, very good. Yeah, LinkedIn. So there you go. There's some people on LinkedIn watching live as well. MD Mexican Donkey says thank you. Who else have we got? Oh, the full list is here. Yes. Do you know, Patrick, what would I do without you? If you want to watch and see what all the videos are that are coming up, subscribe to our channel, but also the full list of all the webinars coming. We will let you know what it is. And as he says, register for the sessions you want to follow, and you receive notifications from YouTube. Exactly right. Anyway, I'm going to call it a day. I will see you this time that we started today on Friday, and then every Tuesday and every Friday at the same time every week. We're going to do as many topics as we can, 30 different topics overall, covering everything we can, from the basics to some quite advanced stuff. Lots of live coding this time round, and less chat from me at the start, and maybe at the end we'll get a lot of chat like we are now. But by then you can just walk away. You've seen the topic. And welcome to my lovely new studio, which I'm quite pleased about. It looks marvelous, doesn't it? Okay, well, thanks very much, and I'll see you again on Friday. Have fun.